Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lifestyle Podcast here at Pro Physique. Today it is Fatima and I, once again, your host here, and we have a special guest on, another coach of Pro Physique, Coach Fran. Hello, Coach Fran. How are you?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Fatima and I are so excited. Fatima, how have you been doing?
I have been wonderful, ladies, and it's always good to see the two of you. So we have a goals chat today. I'm very excited.
I
Yeah.
know. I have coffee. I know we talked about this last time, but I have coffee. What beverages do you have? So I like a coffee chat. We have
Oh,
water. We have electrolytes. We're ready to go.
this could be vodka. We don't know.
We
No,
don't know.
I'm kidding. It's water. It'll be
I
water.
mean, that would be an interesting podcast. So don't give me ideas because I feel like that would be a good time. I'm so excited to just learn more about you, Coach Fran. I know Fatima and I have had a few podcast episodes released. Our last one that was released, we did dive into perimenopause a little bit more, our own experiences. And I know that you have experience with that too. So I do want to touch on that. I want to make sure to make sure the guests know all your experiences, your expertise, and your knowledge. But I want to just learn about you. So tell me how you got into the fitness world and the role that fitness has played in your life.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make it concise. I do feel like I need to start all the way from my childhood.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am one of the coaches with Pro Physique. I am a mom, I am a wife, and I am an IFBB Bikini Pro now. And I would like to start by when I was little, I was traumatized. No, just kidding. I know many people say that bodybuilders start is exactly doing that because they have a trauma or stuff like that. And I feel like that's a really bad stigma for bodybuilders to have. But anyway, maybe it was a mix of both.
Yeah.
So when I was little, I grew up overweight and I didn't like to be called, the big kid. And those labels really get stuck with you. So
Mm.
I always tried, and even my family, they always try to like, you know what, maybe it would be a good idea if you lose weight. They start telling you all these things. And so ever since I was very little, I was trying to lose that weight. Obviously, I didn't know how. My family didn't know how. They just were telling me, well, it would be a good idea if you start losing weight. But anyway, I tried. I feel like my entire life, even as a child, I was dieting, which we know that we see that a lot,
Mm.
and it is such a painful situation to be living in. But anyway, so I was up and down on my weight all the time, and when I got married, okay, I thought, okay, well now I'm gonna stay home with my kids. I'm gonna although I already had my BA in psychology, my husband and I decided that I was gonna stay home. So I felt limited, and I'm sorry, my alarm. I felt limited. I felt like I was put in a situation where I couldn't really expand myself. So, and then, society and people tells you things like, oh, it's so what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a stay-home mom. And that those comments start getting to you. Oh, so I'm just a stay-home mom. And I just didn't like that. So I was the big mom staying at home, and it felt very limiting to me, like I said. And I don't think that being a stay-home mom is diminishing. I think it's a very important role to have. But all those comments started getting to me. So that's when I started doing home workouts. But I felt like I was not socializing enough. Like my social network was very limited. It was just my husband and my kids and the cashier at the grocery store. So that's when I started going to the gym. And that was on 2015, January 1st. So that was actually my year resolution. So I started going, and this is after I was already kind of like into fitness. I was already doing marathons and ultra marathons and stuff like that. But you just read things online and they tell you, well, you need to fuel your running, you need to fuel your training. So I was just eating because I was fueling it. um, but my body was not really changing. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to start trying something different. And all the information, like I said, I was getting it from the internet. So I tried many different diets. Oh my gosh, so many. The low carb, high fat, the high fat, low carb, the only protein, the only bananas. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that diet, but I
Girl,
did
me.
everything. I was like, okay, well, maybe I need to train different. So that's when I started going to the gym. And obviously, I didn't feel comfortable at the gym. I didn't know what to do. I was just there and I confined myself in a little corner with dumbbells until I was brave enough to go into the weight room. And I was very afraid to being judged, of being judged. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Doing these repetitions at the gym is so boring. I much rather go for a run because that was my thing. But I said, okay, if you really want to see results, you need to stick with it. I told myself, and I will go angry to the gym. I will do the exercise and the training, everything. I will go angry until I started noticing my body to change, even with the lack of an adequate diet, because
Mhm.
I just didn't know how to eat. I started seeing results because, as a new stimulus, your body still responds.
Yeah.
And since I started seeing the results, I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. My diet, though, was like completely off, completely off. Just like I said, doing things from the internet. Um, and so I went there for years until one day I was like, what if I decide to compete? Like what if, but all identity that I had, all these labels that, you're big, your genetics are not good, your body looks in a certain way, and it's not what they want to see on the stage. Obviously, you don't have what it takes to be a bodybuilder. So I kept myself in the same position because I didn't believe that I could do it. Finally, one day, my husband and I went to the gym together, and he said, "You know what? You probably won't do so bad." Because he was started he was, I don't know, he noticed my physique when I'm working out, and it looks different than if you're just resting. So even though I had asked him before, do you think I should do a competition? And he said, no, I don't think so. Now I asked him, why did you say that you didn't think that I would do good in a competition? I was like, no, I didn't think that you were not gonna do good. I just didn't want you to get hurt if you place really bad. I'm like, okay, well, thank you for protecting me. So um, I decided to compete, but at that point, my cardio was extremely high. My calories were extremely low, and it was just very difficult to maintain the physique that I had because over time, that's what I had to do. Restrict, 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 and do more and more and more. So when my husband and I had the conversation about me competing, um, I told him, but I need to hire someone because I cannot do it on my own. Like I feel like I'm not progressing anymore. My liftings are now I feel weak. I don't have the energy, and this is not going well. And if I do need to compete, and that means that I need to do more. And no, I need a guidance. So that's when I reached out to Pro Physique, and I was matched with one of the coaches. To my surprise, on that first competition, I did 5 classes, and I placed first on 4 classes and fourth place on open. To me, just going to the competition was my reward, was my prize. I didn't really care about the outcome because I had come such a long way that just for me to step on the stage was more than enough. So when I went on the stage, I was just happy. I was just happy. I see all the girls that were very nervous, and I'm like, No, that's not for me. For me, it's just as long as I step on that stage, that's gonna be it. That's it. So I guess it really helped me because I was not nervous. I was just enjoying the moment, and it was such a good experience. And I also want to mention though that when I received the plan from my coach, I looked at it and I'm like, this is not gonna work. Possible. Am I supposed to do less cardio and eat more? This is actually the opposite. No. Oh, but so I brought things to her, but I expressed my concerns, and she was like, "No, this is what's gonna happen. Your body's inflamed, blah blah blah, and all, your body's truly stressed out. So we need to give it the opposite so it can be more responsive." I'm like,
Yeah, totally.
okay. At that time, I was like, I don't know. I don't know. So I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna trust the process, like they say, and see what happens. That was one of the best. That was my best prep, I will say, because my
Mm,
body was just like
thank
asking
you.
for that
Yeah,
relief. Yes,
yeah.
and yeah, I was like completely blown away by this different approach. I never thought that I was gonna be able to accomplish being that lean with that much food.
Mm,
And so really that really intrigued me. I'm like, okay, so what is the science behind it? Why does this work? But that was those were just thoughts. I really didn't put that much um time into it. I was just having fun. I was just really enjoying competing and all that. Um, and I guess I'm going way too long. But
mm,
but
No,
then after
and then
that,
you became a pro.
yes. So this is the second part. So now I was
Yeah.
with Matt. So I changed coaches. Uh, I just I wanted to see how much further I could go.
yeah.
So, but like I said, I was just having fun. I didn't really think about getting a pro card. I just wanted to keep winning shows, and I just wanted to keep having fun. But when I switched to Matt, it was a game changer. He started doing the same approach, but paying attention to more details, such as my sleep, my recovery capacity, my stress, my digestion, all the things. And so, because he dialed in even more, my physique completely changed. It
Mm,
completely changed. And he told me, why don't you try to go for a pro card? And I was like, no, I don't think that I have what it takes because I was still living in, this old, I keep saying labels and beliefs, but it is very true. I think that those marked me so much. But he said, okay, well, this is you now, and this is you mentally. Let's fill in the gap. You're already operating at this level, so why don't you try? And then I thought, well, it's not for me to decide, I guess, if I am gonna get a pro card or not. It's up to the judges. So I am gonna do my part, and I am gonna trust my coach and see if we
mm,
can actually accomplish that. Um, and during that time is when I experienced the perimenopausal symptoms.
mm,
So it was right before getting my pro card, and I had no idea what that was. I've had heard about the hot flashes, but that was it. That's all I knew about perimenopause and menopause. Hot flashes. I was not experiencing that. I'm still not experiencing those. To me, it was having numbness in my hands, fatigue, muscle weakness.
hmm
I also experienced vertigo, but that's something that I always experienced. Constipation issues, memory issues, and because I was experiencing all those things, I was very stressed out. So I started having blurry vision. So when I Googled all these symptoms, Dr. Google told me that I had multiple sclerosis. And of course, I completely freaked out.
yeah.
I
Was
went to,
this during, did you already attain your pro card or was this
no,
like during a prep?
this is kind of like on my off season,
Okay.
right before I started the prep for the pro card.
Okay. And did you feel as though it had anything to do with preps?
At the time, I thought that's what I thought. I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh, this is what I got myself into for
Mm,
prepping, and I really
Mm.
believed that it was prep.
mm.
So I didn't want to do another competition when I was on my off season because I was completely scared. Like, okay, it could
Yeah.
be multiple sclerosis because that was my diagnosis according to Google. But also it could have been the preps. So I didn't know what it was. I
Right.
decided to go to the doctor and do some lab work, and of course he didn't check my hormones, and he
Because
just told
why? Why would we do that? That's silly.
exactly.
Yeah.
And at the time, exactly. And at the time, I was like, okay, well, he's the doctor. He's the one that knows. He told me that I'm fine, and it's probably something neurological,
Mm,
which scared me even more.
of course.
So
Yeah.
I went to see a neurologist, and he did all the tests. Meanwhile, I'm dying because I'm freaking out. My husband is freaking out, thinking that I do truly have something neurological. And
Mm.
my vision was very blurry. I was completely clumsy. I was bumping into myself with everything. I couldn't even find things that were in front of me. That's how bad stress was for me. And I guess it's because I really believe that those symptoms were coming from this condition. And there's something called nocebo effect, where
Yeah.
you know the symptoms and you increase the symptoms just because you psychologically you already expecting them. And though that
Yeah, and
also
you're
happens
focused
with
on it.
I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was
You're
just saying
focusing.
that you're
Yeah.
also focused on them, right? So you're thinking about it and focusing on it all the time. So you're kind of like making
You
everything feel
manifest them.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Yeah.
it's the opposite like of the placebo effect, where you take a pill,
Mm.
you think it's gonna help you, and all of a sudden you feel better. And then so when
Mm.
you think that you have something, you increase those symptoms.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so okay, so there was went to see the neurologist. He said I was fine and I was just stressed out. Okay, like, oh, okay, well, maybe I just need to calm down.
Oh, no man that ever said that. I don't even know if a neurologist was a man, but I just want to say, anytime that any person just says to you, you need to calm down, is like waiting for the volcano to explode because what do you mean I just need to calm down?
Right.
Like,
But
sure, okay.
in that context though, it really put my mind at ease because I was like, okay, I don't have a disease. I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna be on a wheelchair. So I was like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
calm down.
I'll just calm down.
Yeah, I just needed to calm
I will
down.
just do
So
it.
yeah, really simple. Why did I have to go see a doctor for that? Um, so when I got that diagnosed that I was fine, I told Matt, you know what, everything is fine. I'm just stressed out. Let's start with the prep. And he was like, all right, let's do it. But because I still had all those issues, but Matt knew how to handle everything, knew how to manage all my biomarkers. And
Mm.
so because of that reason, prep was very successful.
Mm.
Although my hormones were not okay, it was still a very successful prep. Yes, it was a hard prep. My body was protecting me, and I don't like to say my body was resisting me. No, it was protecting me.
Yeah.
So it was
Mm.
it was a hard prep, but we got it done. But like I said, it's still very manageable because,
Yeah.
having the experience of someone that knows really, really makes a difference.
Yeah.
So went for the pro card, and at the time, I also want to mention because this I think it's also important for context. When someone is trying to get a pro card, and for some reason or another that doesn't happen for them, people can get very discouraged and think that maybe they don't have the physique good enough, or they just didn't were not good enough. I don't know. Maybe that's what I would think if that would have happened to me. And what I want to mention is it's a variable, so many things. All the things need to align, not only your hard work, not only if your body is good enough, all those variables. At the time, we were struggling with finances. And so even Matt told me, I can coach you for free so you can save to go to the show, because it's all the way in across the United States. So it's an expensive trip. So he did that. And I think that this is where a support system becomes very, very important, not only from your immediate support system, like, such as your family, but also your coach, people around you. It becomes super, super important. So with this one, I want to say that all the things aligned, and I was very lucky to have all the variables narrow in my favor. So that being said, we were, I don't know, like 25 girls in my class. And I will see all these physiques, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing here, but okay. I started doubting myself, but I was like, you know what? I'm already here. Let's just enjoy it. And, let's just do my best. And Matt and Fats were always very supportive on that particular day, like always. But on that particular day, they were FaceTiming me and telling me all the things. And I just felt very supported and loved. My family was there, my kids were there, and it was just a very wonderful experience.
Can I ask a question on this, friend? Because, like, remember, obviously, and Danica, this is actually a very interesting story because, when you're a coach, sometimes you have clients that are competing in different time zones, and that's exactly the case of Matt and Fran. So what actually happened that I don't think Fran knows is we were basically at home, so we were streaming it. We had invited some of our friends because we said to them, this girl is going to win a pro card tonight, and we know it. She doesn't know it, but we know it. So when it happened, it was actually 1 a.m. South African time, and I felt like we were celebrating. Please note, I haven't met Fran in person. And I was on this bandwagon. I was like, yes, girl, get it, get it. But it was such a beautiful moment. And I think it just leads me to my next question about, your experience in breaking all of those narratives, because you had began this discussion and said, I was overweight. I grew up overweight. I had lots of things said to me that were stored, somewhere there in the beautiful brain of me. And I'm sure at that point, going through perimenopause, just before you got your pro card, you're a mom, you're a cat mom, you're dealing with so much from a day-to-day perspective. What did that feel like for you in that moment when you were like, I know that I wanted to get a pro card and it's happening to me now, and I'm no longer the fat kid, and I'm also the mom that's doing all of these things at the same time. Like, how did that feel for you?
First, it took a while to settle.
Mhm.
It took a while to settle. I was just, I don't know. I guess at that particular moment, it was just a relief. It was a relief of not leaving people down. My coach
Yeah.
that trusted me, that supported me, my family that was there with me, and my kids didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
I don't think my husband knew either. So it was just
Yeah.
a relief for me. Like, okay, I think that for women is like, I don't want to take up too much space. I don't want to ask for too much. I don't want to be inconvenient for others. And so making that, me being on prep was, I didn't want to make that an inconvenience for my family with time or financially, or also with the things that they already expect from me as a mom. So I think that it was a lot of pressure that I put on myself just because I didn't want to step outside. And so at that
Yeah.
particular moment, it was more of a relief. Okay, I'm glad that I didn't do this for nothing. That was my first instinct. And I do believe that many women relate to that sensation of, I need to stay within my boundaries. I need to stay within my role. And if I allow myself to do that with my husband, my family were completely okay. It was just me. I was being my own police and feeling,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I was stepping outside my role. But the first instinct was a relief. Okay, I'm glad that I didn't do this for nothing.
Yeah.
But then after that, when I started reflecting, uh, we can come so far along, and all these beliefs and narratives that we have for ourselves, we think that they're just definite. They're like a sentence. When in reality, what you think that it could be your downfall, it can actually be something positive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In my situation, generically, my family and me, we have small legs and small glutes. So I always thought, how in the world am I gonna win a pro car with my genetics? And so obviously I trained very hard to grow them to a point where it was acceptable for the division, but also because I do not tend to put a lot of body weight on my legs. My conditioning on my glutes and my legs are really nice. So I don't struggle with that. So what I thought it was my downfall, it actually became something positive. And that is just an example. So what I'm saying here is whatever you think is whatever is preventing you or restricting you from achieving that, if you look at it in a different perspective, that can actually be your advantage, your
Mm-hmm.
positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mm,
Yeah. It makes me think about what you said the other day, Danica, because Danica, she's so positive and I just love her vibe and her energy. She's the sunshine, really. She needs to come here to South Africa so I can have two sons. But the point that I was going to say is Danica has said this in the past, and it's so true in that when something is happening to you or you're experiencing something so difficult, you can look at it as maybe this is going to be terrible. Yes, that might be your mind frame at the time. But in reframing, like Danica's always been like, yeah, but what if it doesn't?
Right.
And what about this? And what if this?
exactly.
And it's such a positive sentiment for me, friend, because I'm looking at you now and going, amazing, because you then actually went from earning your IFBB Pro card during a perimenopausal cycle and then turned that into coaching at Pro Physique as well,
Right.
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
what an interesting experience to be able to take with you to your clients, but also something that you know very innately and very deeply based on prep, what prep does to you, what hormones are. So you can at least separate sometimes the difference between the two. Like, is this a prep thing or is this perimenopause?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. Really quick on that. I have often said, I think I've said this on a podcast too, but whenever family, my kids, my husband, myself, clients say, like, I'm going through this, or this is really hard, or this happened to me, I'm always like, good, good.
Mhm.
Like, this is what a cool opportunity that you have. And a lot of the times people be like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, be in the mud with me and get like dirty and feel yucky with me. And I'm like, I don't really want to. Like, I'll be there for a little bit, but good. Like, these are
Yeah.
small little, yes, it's okay to hold space for the yuck and for like the uncomfortability of things. Like, and maybe the reason why I had that perspective is being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Like, I remember there being like so many people around me at that time were like crying and like unable to stand up, and my mom fell to the like collapsed to the ground, and I had a priest come in and like pray over me, and I was like, guys, it's gonna be okay. Like, we're all gonna be okay. And I was 11, but I was like, good, what do I need to do next? Like, I'm not
Mm.
happy. This doesn't mean that I'm happy. This doesn't mean that I'm like, yay, like this is great news. But staying stuck on the ground, like in your puddle of yuck, doesn't do anything, right? Like that doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't push you forward. And what Fran said too, a lot of the times there's like little pieces of whatever challenge that we're going through that we are able to discover true strengths inside of us. It's almost like a blessing in disguise, right? It's disguised in a really like yucky way, whether we're like bullied when we're younger. There's something that comes from those things, like being diagnosed with a type 1 diabetes, that's like a life-threatening disease. That's not a good blessing per se, but it can be disguised as a blessing because what did it teach me? Resilience. It taught me to be in tune with my body. Like it, something can come out of it. The same with like an eating disorder, and people will be like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, think about the headspace of an eating disorder and the organizational skill set that is needed in order to like take control, and you are type A and you have to have everything micromanaged, and like just think of that. I want you to spin it a little bit as like, what is this providing you, right? And can you use that as a tool for positivity, for positive movement? You did exactly that, Fran, whether you knew it in the process or not. You were like, remember, I'm sure there was some little part of you that was like, remember that time that people told me that I was fat and never gonna achieve something, or that I was just a mom? And you're like, well, okay, here I am showing up for me. Like, you may not have said that outwardly, but there was a part of you that took that narrative and you were like, cool, I'll show you. And look where it got you, right? Like,
Mhm,
I
mhm.
really do believe in that, the power of like spinning things around.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's so powerful when you actually use it.
I actually, when I was with my first pregnancy, and I fell for, you're pregnant, you need to eat for two. Oh, come on, eat it because the baby wants it. So I became, I developed gestational diabetes.
Yeah,
And that was like really hard on me. That was extremely hard because now it's not only about me, it's about my baby.
right.
And so I remember going into a nutrition class, and the physician told me, well, maybe this is a wake up call. And I never forgot that. After that, I became very, I would say, health conscious.
Mm.
But again, I didn't have the knowledge. I was just eating, thinking that, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I was falling for the diets from the internet. And so it's a long journey. It is a long journey. And when I decided to learn the actual science and getting certified by NAMS, and when people will come and ask me, hey, well, you did it. How did you do it? Will you help me? This is friends and family. And I was like, of course I'm gonna help you. Of course I don't want you to be spinning the wheels just like I did. So I started helping my friends and my family and really testing my knowledge. Obviously, there was no money involved. It was just me wanting to help them because I was there. I saw myself in them. And so yeah, I mean, so I understand that some people are not ready to make changes. Life it's different for everybody, and you need to be in that specific time in life where you're ready for it. The ones that did stick to it, they saw very, very good results. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I can do this professionally. And so I started putting things on my Instagram saying like, okay, now I'm coaching, and I started getting people. And I felt so grateful and so humble that they were trusting me. And now I had their trust. Now I cannot let them down. So I not only I was certified, but I always kept reading and researching, and then I got my certification on hormone health. And so that opened up my eyes so much because Matt, with me, when he was working with me, he will explain things that are like, okay, we are doing this because of this reason, and we are doing this because this other reason. So it was clear, but I didn't know the why behind it. And I
Mhm.
wanted to know that. So when I was reading everything, I was like, oh my gosh, me thinking that I had multiple sclerosis and it's just all these hormones not communicating with each other and then affecting my brain, which yeah, perimenopause also affects the brain. And that's why we experience all these things. And so, but we don't make the connection. And there's very little information about perimenopause and menopause. Like I said, I just knew about the hot flashes. I didn't know about all these things. And so I look at my journey, and I went through so many ups and downs, so many circles, so many frustrations, so many fear, anxiety that could have been just avoided if I just had the knowledge or even just to hear another woman going through them.
Mhm. But
And
didn't it provide you an opportunity to get the knowledge too?
oh, I'm sorry.
Didn't it like, didn't all of that you went through also opened up more doors for you to be like, I'm gonna get all this knowledge. Like, and now you got all the knowledge and you have the experience.
Yes.
Yes,
Not that not I'm not saying like everyone should go through turmoil. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you I'm flipping it. I'm flipping it on its head. That's all. Yeah.
yeah, and um now because I went through all this, I want to be able to direct women in the right way and tell
Mhm.
them, hey, you don't have your body is not failing you because that's what I thought. I thought my body was failing me. I thought I was just
Mhm.
declining. I thought I had a defective body when I was experiencing all these
Mhm.
things, and it was very, very scary.
Yeah.
And I try to talk to my daughters about the things that I go through for them to normalize them, but they're so young, they really don't care. And I do want to, like I said, normalize it. And when I coach my clients and when I see signs that they don't pick up just yet, I recognize those patterns
Mm.
and I explain this is what's most likely happening. Because if you connect this with this, it points at one direction. And
Yeah.
so some at this specifically at this age, I don't think that women that come to me when they have a job, they are a mom, and they have all these expectations from others and from themselves, like I did, and they don't have time to even eat or train or stuff like that. uh, I don't believe that it's lack of discipline or they're just not motivated enough. I was actually looking into the word of discipline, and it came down to it's just a label, a surface label, just to cover something underneath. Another system is struggling behind it, whether it is psychological, physiological, or environmental. So there's something going on, and that is my job to figure that out. So
Mhm.
when we coach, and I'm sure you guys do the same in your coaching. It's not about just, oh, well, just eat this and eat that and do this amount of cardio. You look more into who are you coaching as an individual and how you can better understand their situation. That way, you can pinpoint because the body is always receiving a signal. It's always receiving a signal, and you need to figure out what is the stronger signal that your body is perceiving, because if it's not responding to the training and if it's not responding to the deficit, then it's responding to another louder signal. And that is what we need to address instead of just like, well, eat less and do more cardio. At
Mhm.
this age, I don't think women are undisciplined or not motivated enough. And so there's a lot more to dig in before we put in a protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that you
It's
said a few things about normalizing, like spending time to normalize things as opposed to catastrophize them or make it crazy, like make it feel like you're just crazy and this is an outer body experience, or like, um, I was thinking of how sometimes my mind can go to catastrophizing things. Like I'll be like, oh my God, today at the gym, I did it to my brother the other day. I was like, today at the gym, I was doing heavy stiff-legged deadlifts, and at my last one, I like did it and then I put the weights down and then I saw stars, and he was like, good job. That means you pushed yourself a little bit. Sit down. And I was like, oh. So that's normal. And he was like, yeah. Is that the first time you pushed yourself that hard, Danica? And I was like, oh, okay. Like, okay, that's okay. Like, this is a normal experience. And I feel that that's so important a lot of the times with like the women that I have to kind of not, it's not downplaying, but like you said, it's normalizing. If they're like, oh my God, it's right before my period, my weight went up 3 pounds. I said, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
it's called water retention and a little bit of inflammation. And yeah, that's pretty normal.
Mhm,
Oh, so my body's not going rogue. No, 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 no.
mhm,
No, this is
mhm,
a pretty normal thing. Like
mhm,
that is so, at what age do you, because I feel that society doesn't do that as much as they should, or like have the conversation or build the community around it, build the conversation around it, not have it be taboo or don't talk about it, or like, oh, you need to speak to a therapist to figure that shit out. No, 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 this is pretty normal stuff that we're experiencing. So, because you had mentioned your daughters,
mhm,
Mhm.
and I normalize a lot for them, especially at this age. Well, I mean, they're 6 and 9, but like a 9-year old is growing up. Like she's growing up. And so I have so much like normal conversations, and or like them being like, will my boobs grow? And I'm like, yeah, that's a pretty normal thing. Your boobs will grow. And they're like,
Mhm.
oh, that's not bad. I'm like, no, no, your boobs will grow. Mom, why do you have gray hair? Normal thing. Like, we're not gonna hide it. I'm not gonna be like, oh my God, pluck it out. Like, no, this is a normal thing.
mhm,
There's such great importance of that. Maybe like I'm just going on a tangent, but there's a lot of parts of life that I feel like should hold more normalcy, or maybe a neutral response to them, or a hey, you're
mhm,
not alone response. And
mhm.
we don't do that often for some reason.
No,
Yeah.
I do believe that it has to do a lot with how us females have been perceived historically.
Mm.
I mean, not long ago we started voting, and a lot of the research, medical research, was done in males or even animal males. So actually, there's not a lot uh, of research done in actual women and how our body really works. And
Mm.
so, because I guess men just assume when they took on the medical system, most of them were men because they are the ones they are the ones that are supposed to go to work because women are supposed to stay home, right? That was the role back in the old days. And that made sense for that particular time, not for our time. But anyway, so because men now were in charge of the medical field, a lot of the female physiology was neglected. And so there's now there started to emerge, but it's taken us decades, no, not hundreds of years. And so we are barely here. And we are barely normalizing it. And we are barely talking about it. And we're barely finding out that the body is not failing. It's just going through a new transition. And it will adapt, just like how it
Mm.
adapted when we were going through puberty. We
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
experiencing all these hormones. The, body,
Yeah.
the brain was going crazy. And after a while, it adapted. And it's the same
Yeah.
thing with perimenopause. Um, this is just a
Yeah.
transition, and the brain is very adaptable. The body is very adaptable, and it will settle. We just need right now it's just struggling because of the new changes, but it always find its homeostasis. So that's why I was looking into a study when the happiness of women declines between 40 and 50, because that is the time where we experience the perimenopause and menopause. And after 50, women experience more happiness. And so that is exactly the time when the nervous system adapts to this new environment of hormones. And I guess it's because I guess that's another reason why older women don't speak about so much about the difficulties of perimenopause and menopause, because now they're settled. The brain has adapted. So, and it is important at this phase to protect the brain because it's going through so much. And if our lifestyle is not helping it, and if we're always stressed, and if we're not eating the proper nutrients for our brain, we're going to have a much harder time than if we just support it. So that's why it is very important that's why we see so much difference between a woman experiencing hard symptoms and another one experiencing not so hard. It's been a little bit easier, but I mean, not only the lifestyle, it also, of course, it plays a role. The genetics plays a role. But if we already have bad genetics, let's say we already have bad genetics and we already doing all the wrong things, I mean, this is not only about aesthetics. We already know that a skinny body or a thin body doesn't equate to health. And the opposite is also true. We know that there's what is called the obesity paradox. Body size doesn't always equate to health. And so what I would say, this is not only about aesthetics or having a hegemonic body ideal. It's not for you need to look in a certain way. That's why we're here, coaches. But to support better habits, better nutrition, just a healthier body. So that way you can experience life in a different way.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that our mind and our bodies are disconnected. I feel like all the systems are working together. And if we support all the systems with the lifestyle, then we are going to experience life in a much positive way. Because remember, physiology affects thoughts. And so, and just the experience of life itself.
Yeah. And I think, Fran, you hit on something very interesting there for me because, you were saying, first of all, you described your journey in terms of the fact that when you were diagnosed with perimenopause, just before that, you thought it was a neurological issue. And the one thing that I seem to keep finding is that so many women are experiencing brain fog, which is a symptom of perimenopause, but is also a symptom of so many other things. And the deep dive that you were talking about is so important in terms of the level of information that you're receiving from clients and also the level of information and research that we have out there. I actually read a very striking statistic this morning, ladies, and I think you're going to love this because Dr. Marie Claire is the leading, researcher right now in perimenopause and menopausal women. And she posted something today that shocked me to my core, which said that when she was looking at research and studies for pregnancy, she found 1 million different research articles. The actual number, 1 million. That's what she found. When she was then looking for research and studies on menopause, it was 96,000 available. Great. So we have information on menopause. But on perimenopause, what you said earlier about how different everyone's symptoms is so true because when she went and did the research to study, to write a book on her study on perimenopause, she only found 6,000 studies. So from pregnancy to menopause to perimenopause, we can see how different that looks now in terms of the information that's out there. And I think, just to all the women that are listening, because all three of us have experienced such different things in terms of our symptoms. The array and the spectrum is really large. Make sure that you are also, to your point, Fran, educating yourself on what are the things that you can look out for because it can be so different. Like, one woman may go to the doctor and saying, I'm having so much brain fog and I'm feeling so tired. And they may be just like, you're a woman, you're stressed. You're okay. Don't worry. It's fine.
Exactly.
So I think you raised something very, very interesting in that in terms of the fact that the information is changing. Yes, it's 100% evolving, but the person that is experiencing it must also be aware of what they are experiencing and not just bat it off. Because we, as women, we do that very well.
Yes. And also the fact that, well, I'm just aging. This is normal.
Mhm.
I guess this is the
Yeah.
new me. I should have just accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, we also have to continue to always be um knowing that like we're still learning. What's unfortunate is that when you graduate from high school, say you graduate from high school, you've had so much opportunity to like my friend just told me she has to sign a slip because they're going to be having a sex education class. We don't get like after high school, we don't get like a financial class, a marriage class, a partnership class, a courting class, a pregnancy class.
Yes.
Like you have to look to get all of that information, right? It's not that like we probably should have classes and we probably should have continuing human education that provides us really valuable information to help us to know like it doesn't just end. You learn about puberty, we learn about changes in a setting
Mhm.
that is like with a teacher that's learning, you have a class, like typically that's what you do in high school or even starting in middle school. But then once you become an adult, it's like on you. And there's a lot of not useful information out there. And and Dr. Google, while we think he might help, he does not help. So
No.
like no. So then it feels like you're in a world with so much information out there, but it feels so lonely at the same time because
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
don't know what direction to go. So you
Mhm.
almost have to become like you have to continue course of like being somebody that's curious and asking questions and learning about your human body because you can't just pause it and be like, well, that was nice. I'm done with high school. I'm going to pause here. All the information I got, I'm done. And then I'm just going to stop. You have seasons of life that will continue to include elderly, right? Like how I don't know yet. I wish I could sign up for a course and I probably can, but like how to take care of myself when I am 65 or above, right? I have to do that. If that's a responsibility that becomes my own, and I have to cherish that responsibility because it will help me to navigate the phases of life that will happen. I can't stop them. But that's a huge responsibility and an opportunity that we are blessed with, and we have to really cherish that.
Yeah.
I also want to add to that point, Danica, that while it's a really empowering thing to get more knowledge and to be curious and to investigate and to ask questions, in my case, in my situation, I remember when my anxiety due to the hormones was over o- over the roof,
Mm,
and I could not read or investigate or anything like that because anything will seem catastrophic. I
yeah.
could not take the information. And so what I'm saying is, if you are in that situation where you feel with a lot of anxiety, you feel hopeless, you feel like nothing is helping you, you just don't know where to start, find someone, talk to people. In
Mhm.
the social interact, we're social animals. We're social animals. We need to find that support system. Talk to other people, talk to more people, you are going to feel very related to others. And so eventually, by talking and communicating, you will find that way, that support system, whether that is a coach, whether it's a mentor, a friend, or someone that is going through it. Maybe this person found a good OBGYN that can help you, educate you, and probably start you with from point B to whatever it needs to go. But it doesn't
Mhm.
have to be a very lonely journey. We're all
Mhm.
going through this. All of us are going through this. So don't isolate yourself thinking that it's all on me, because it can feel very much like that. And even when you go to a doctor and they tell you that you're completely fine, it feels very, very lonely. So find your people, find your group, and just keep going. Just keep
Yeah.
going.
And build, I think there's such greatness in building a community around you and knowing your own learning style because I mean we talked off air before this, but my learning style is not like other coaches' learning style or like what I can apply. And but I also know for myself, I find it very difficult to read a book, like to actually physically read a book. But I feel like I have my doctorate degree from so many podcasts. Like I just can listen and listen and listen and watch. Like I'm a very visual person. So watching has helped me listening and then asking questions. Like being curious has helped me so much. My husband has taught me this too. He has said, whenever you're unsure about something, because he has like a wealth of knowledge. He's like an old soul where he'll like say something and I'm like, where'd that come from? But he asks questions. He'll think, this is something that I'm curious about. Who's the person that probably knows this and the smartest person I know? Like, and then he'll just message that person or reach out to that coworker or whatever it is. He sees things as like I want to continue to learn in a way that helps him to learn, right? Because he could Google it, you can chat GBT, but like there's something about that human connection
Mhm.
and finding your community, being curious. And I would also say there's nothing wrong with Google. There's nothing wrong with chat GBT. But I just had an interesting conversation yesterday with a coworker, and he had said to me he needed help with some mindset stuff. And he was like, Chat GBT is wonderful, but we can only use it for so long. And hearing your voice and listening to you and learning through your own experiences and having this like almost like a bonding experience, there's
Mhm.
something to be said about that, where a book can't really give you that necessarily. A podcast maybe, but like one-on-one talking, hearing another human, like we're in this human life together. So like
Mhm.
we all have had experiences of some similarities, right? So being able to say like, oh, I'm not, this whole entire planet is filled with human beings. Maybe I just need to, like you said, Fran, be okay with finding my community. And maybe that is the cashier clerk sometimes. You never know, right? So you never
I've
know.
had wonderful conversations with them.
100%, right? So and also I think, having a coach is really important, especially if you're able to do calls and like Zoom sessions and like feeling that connection too. And there's a beautiful thing that can happen when you do have a coach like you did, Fran. You built your own community through connection, right?
Mhm.
And then it spider webbed. And what a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. And then you expanded your wealth of knowledge and you expanded your experience and your whole world. Like it was through a connection, one connection, and then it went, phew, which is pretty awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. That was a lot. That was a lot.
Now we're all thinking about all the things that you said.
I know. It's so good. That's so good.
Um, I
So
I
yeah.
think that because modern society has individualized us so much that we don't have that one-on-one connection. I feel like even social media is like, okay, now it's you versus the rest, and we are
Mm,
so individualized,
yes.
and we lack of that human connection so much, and no, we were never meant to be in this position. So let's not forget that. Even
Yeah.
if you communicate with others through messages or through emails, don't be afraid to show that human side. You
Hmm.
know, that human side is when I feel like when somebody sends me a check-in and they show vulnerability. Okay, this is my opportunity to really connect with you. I don't want to see that you did everything perfect. Okay, good job. Keep doing it. So I even have clients where I have this client that I love so much. And because of her health situation, she's not in a position to push for fat loss. But she stays with me because we open up a door for so many other conversations. And so she feels like coaching is this safe space that is giving her the structure to have all the things in place so her quality of life improves. And we are not even pursuing fat loss. We are
Yeah.
not pursuing aesthetics, but this is her place where she can put the things on written, structure her thoughts, and then bounce them back with me. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that human interaction is really, really important. So it's not always about aesthetics. It's about improving the quality of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think while you ladies were talking, I was strategizing in the background because I'm just like, you know what? We should have a pro physique perimenopause community where
Mm.
we can just talk about what we're experiencing and go, hi, this morning I nearly killed my husband, and it's happened 2 days in a row. And I just want to know, is anybody else setting the
Anyone
house
else?
on fire this morning? Anyone else? Because I just want to know that I'm not alone. And it's true. It's true, Fran. I think you and Danica like touched on some very, very important points of like the community, not feeling alone, being vulnerable. I don't know why it's 2026 and we still struggle with vulnerability these days in terms of saying to people, hey, I need help. I need help. I'm just not in a great space right now. And I think, just looking at the perspective that we have so many clients that do tell us exactly what's happening. And it must be, I'm just envisioning that it must be so helpful to have someone who's gone through perimenopause, but who also understands the body and is like, don't worry, baby girl, you're okay. You're okay.
Yeah.
And that feels like such an honor, actually.
It does. It does.
It really
Yeah.
does.
Well, I know there's so many different directions we can go on this, but I'm really happy that the listeners got to learn more about you, your journey, Fran. Thank you so much for shedding light on everything that you have experienced, and you've been able to accomplish because you should be
Mhm.
really proud of yourself and, do your little trophy dance whenever you can. So, um, I can't wait to continue to have you on. There are different subjects that I would and topics I'd like to discuss further. But if our listeners or viewers have any little things that they are like, oh, I'd love to hear more about that, or I have questions about this, please comment, like us, do all the things, slide into our DMs. We're cool with that. Just keep it professional. Yeah. Anything else, ladies, that you want to end with?
No, I think just from my side, I want to say it's been such a pleasure to watch Fran's journey from the outside because, I mean, I wasn't coaching her. My husband was obviously coaching her, but it's just been so nice to see you, Fran, in all of these different stages and eras in your life. It's nice to see you on the Pro Physique coaching panel because I know that the work that you're doing with clients is really, really important. And I think just from the perspective that, you know, anybody that's watching this now, if you're looking to get your pro card or you have your pro card and you want to work with someone who has experience in that, plus the
Mhm.
hormonal side, plus understanding all of these different phases in life and the narratives that we've created, I think Fran is definitely going to be your goal. So it was very nice to chat to you today.
Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much, ladies. I really, really enjoyed this conversation and I'll be glad to be here again. I think that there are so many things that we can touch on, not only about not feeling lonely and experiencing all the symptoms, but also what to do. Like, how does that look in real life?
Yeah,
Maybe we,
yeah,
we need to, maybe we can touch a little bit more on that
yeah,
so we don't leave our audience just like, okay, well, that was great. Now what do I do?
yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe something more hands-on and stuff like that. Obviously, it's gonna be different from person to person, because
Mm.
when we coach the individual, not just a generic plan. But I think it's important to mention some pointers that can be very generalized for the people, so they can take something with them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for listening, for watching. Um, yeah, and if you guys have any topic ideas, please let us know. Thank you so much.
And Fran, tell everyone where they can reach you. Sorry, before we cut
Oh,
off,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
where can they find you?
I do have my Instagram is IFBB Pro Monster of Wonderland. And I do have two channels of YouTube. One is in English, one is in Spanish. And they are both Monster of Wonderland English, Monster of Wonderland Spanish. But we can leave the links in the box.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.